Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to today's Tanya. And for chapter 32 of Tanya, Lave of the Tanya, the heart of the Tanya, we've been discussing Ahavas Yisrael. And also, as an introduction, we had some discussion on the WhatsApp group regarding the discussion in Tanya now, where the Alter Rebbe interrupts his discussion, not so interrupts, but includes in his discussion of Ahavas Yisrael, and he asks a question regarding what the Talmud says, that there are times, says the Talmud, when we are required to actually have sinna, the opposite of ahava. And that instigated some discussion. So, meaning, sinna, which means hate, that's the opposite of love. And it seems like a little bit difficult to understand. How could it be? Why would you hate? And these are very good questions. So that was an important discussion we had on WhatsApp, and I want to get into some of that today. And the Alter Rebbe will do it himself, actually, because so let's get right to it. Yesterday, the Alter Rebbe mentioned that that even though overall we have the overall mitzvah, you have to l'recha kamocha, love your friend like yourself. So the Alter Rebbe asks a question yesterday. What about what the Talmud says, that sometimes there needs to be a sinna? And the Alter Rebbe qualified that sinna, which the Talmud says you have to have sometimes, is a qualified thing, and it requires certain conditions. Meaning to say, the conditions are that sinna that you have is only when you see your friend, says the Alter Rebbe, your friend and your equal in Torah mitzvahs, sinning. So meaning your friend, meaning you're close to him, and you have a daily interaction with him, and you are communicating with him regularly, and he's your friend, and also someone who is equal to you in Torah mitzvahs. He's your colleague, he's your friend and colleague. You're together with him, and you're close to him, and you're equal to him, and all of a sudden he's he wants to not keep Shabbos and eat pork and whatever it is. He's deciding to go off the path. So the Alter Rebbe qualifies this sinna and says that it has to be those conditions, and then you need to rebuke him. You need to say, hey, what's going on? What's happening here? And even after all these conditions, he's still not coming back. Then there needs to be a sinna. And then today the Alter Rebbe says that sinna that you have is also with an ava. So even if there is the requirement of a sinna, which means hate, there is simultaneously the requirement of an ava, a love, and that's what we're going to get into today. So today's Tanya. V'gam, and also hamakorovim, a love, even those who one is enjoined to hate. One second. Gama korovim a love hochichach v'lo shavu ma'avonosehem v'gama korovim a love, those who are close to him, v'hochicham, and you rebuke them. Right, you're close. They're close to you, and you rebuke them. Okay, v'lo shavu, and they don't return ma'avonosehem from their sins. She mitzvah lisnosam. So we said yesterday there is a commandment to hate them. Mitzvah, there is a mitzvah la'ahavim, to love them, gamkein, also. So even when all those conditions are met, we spoke about yesterday, and there is a mitzvah of sinna, the Alter Rebbe begins today by saying there's also a mitzvah of ahava at the same time. Note, but is it possible to love a person and hate them at the same time? The Alter Rebbe explains that since the love and hatred stem from two different causes, they do not conflict. Let's understand that. Ushteyem heim emes, both of these things are the truth. Sinna, the hate, mitzad hara, due to the evil, shebehem, that is in them, meaning to say, their thought, speech, and action, they're doing something with their garments of expression that is against the Torah. So that's called ra'ah, evil, and so that part is to be hated. Continuing, va'ava, and loving, you're supposed to have love, mitzad bechinas hatov, due to the aspect of good, haganuz, which is hidden, shebehem, which is hidden in them. Why is the good hidden in them? Because the person is sinning, right? So their active faculties are being used to go against the Torah, and yet at the exact same time, there is a good which is being concealed. Shehu, what is that good being concealed? Shehu, that it is nitzut elokut, the spark of godliness, shebetocham, which is in them. Hamachaya nafsham, which is giving them life, which is giving Hamachaya nafsham he'elokit, which gives the godly soul life. Okay, so we see there's two things going on over here. The person's actively using their thought, speech, and action in a way against the Torah. That you're supposed to hate. Simultaneously, well, in certain conditions. Only those conditions. And then, if those conditions are met and you're required to have a sinah, at the same time you have to love the spark that is enlivening them and which is being concealed due to the sin. Continuing. V'gamin also l'oirer, to arouse. Rachamim, this is very powerful, what's coming up here. This is a very beautiful and powerful concept coming up, everyone. So listen to this beautiful concept. V'gamin also l'oirer rachamim, to arouse mercy, beliboy, in his heart, eleha, for him, ki hi bechinas galut b'tochara, because it is in the aspect of galus, but in the evil, Mesitra Achra, which is the Sitra Achra, Hagover Aleha B'Rishayim. One must also arouse compassion on the divine soul of the sinner, for in the case of the wicked, it is in exile, right, within the evil of the Sitra Achra, which dominates it. The soul is in exile. The person is going against the Torah with his thought, speech, or action, and so now the soul is in exile. And our job, therefore, is to have rachmanos, to have compassion. Now, listen to this beautiful idea. V'rachmanos mevatelet hasina. The compassion nullifies the hate. Hamoreret ha'ava, and arouses love. Compassion nullifies hatred and arouses love, like it is known, kenoda, like it is known, memashikatuv, what it says in the pasuk, the Yaakov asher para et Avraham, for Yaakov liberated Avraham. Yaakov liberated Avraham. Yaakov represents compassion and Avraham love. When Avraham love must be redeemed, brought out of concealment, it is Yaakov compassion that accomplishes this redemption. For as said, compassion banishes hatred and arouses love. This is a powerful idea, ladies and gentlemen. It's the compassion is going to sort of mitigate all of this and be the road that we're meant to take. That says the Alter Rebbe now. One second. Yeah. So before we get to the next part, so here we see what the Alter Rebbe is saying. That this is going to be the road to take, and that is to have rachmanos, for him, and to mitigate the required sinah under certain conditions. You're going to mitigate all that with rachmanos, compassion. And now, for the last few lines here, the Alter Rebbe is going to ask, what about David HaMelech says, I hate my enemies with a consummate hatred. So there the Alter Rebbe says that only refers to total apikorsim and heretics, people who deny and deliberately deny and go against the Torah, not out of ignorance because they don't know, but because they know, and they're willingly going against, and that's a very limited thing. That's how this day's Tanya concludes. Yeah, okay, my wife. So this that we're going to say is something which is not really applicable today. We'll get into that right now. So, concluding the Tanya. And not like what David HaMelech said. So, as for the statement of King David, peace upon him, he says, Tachli sina senesim, with the ultimate hatred I hate them. Ella, that what does that apply to? Ella al haminim. This refers to the heretics, vapikorsim, and people who deny. She'ein lem chelik belokei Yisrael, they have no part in the God of Israel, as it says in the Talmud, Kedisa b'Gemara, Reish Perak Tet Zayin of Shabbos. So what is the David HaMelech referring to? We're not talking about people that deny the Torah because they don't know anything, like today. But the Rebbe makes it very clear that this sinah that David HaMelech is talking about, to have a consummate hatred for somebody, we're talking about Torah scholars, people who are the ultimate knowledge of Torah mitzvahs. They know what's flying, and they choose with their will and their developed will and knowledgeable will to, after knowing everything, to go against the God of Israel. So there, David HaMelech says to them, he has a consummate hatred. That is not the situation today at all. No one is on that level. To be a true heretic and a true apicorsis, the Rabbi says, is you have to be very knowledgeable, and very few people are. So when people are going against the Torah today and Hashem today, it's not because it's not in this category. It's because really there's a lack of knowledge what's going on in that. So there, with that lack of knowledge, we have Rachmanos, we have Ava. That's generally the path. That's what this chapter is about, to focus on our souls and focus on the souls of our brothers and sisters, like Elyakeem did and does, to focus on the soul and the spirit. And that's what that's what the Alter Rebbe's spirit is. That's what Elyakeem was about, and that's what this parak is about. And the Alter Rebbe has to deal with what it says in the Talmud, that there are times when sinah is required. Those are very limited times, and even when those times are required, the overall midah is rachmanos, compassion. And may we have compassion on each other, compassion on our own souls, compassion on the souls of others. May the Eibusher have compassion on all of us, and we'll be rocking and rolling in the Gula Shlema. See you next time.